Welcome back to A Patriot Voice for Freedom. And our guest today is Barbara Haney. She is doing this. We are working on the topic and the subject matter of a brokered convention. For those of you out there in the listening audience who do not know exactly what a brokered convention is, now is the time to find out, and I can guarantee you that when we are done with the show that Barbara will give you information that you can contact her should you have any questions. I can guarantee you that she is very knowledgeable. Barbara, if we could continue back on track, I would appreciate it.
Sure. And, the whole thing with the Romney campaign, of course, telling you it's all done, Romney's presumptive nominee, blah, blah, blah. There's a couple of reasons for that. Number one is they figure if you think he's already nominated, are you going to make an effort to go vote in the primary, or heaven forbid you might show up at the state convention? No, of course not, because it's all over, right? So why would you bother? That gives them the opportunity to draw people's attention to local campaigns. Now, that's a good thing, but at the same time, what it does is it gives the RNC establishment an opportunity to basically impose what they want to impose, do what they want to do. And that's why good people need to show up and fill these delegate slots, all right? Some states, you don't have probably a chance. But even in Pennsylvania, where everybody thought it was long over, you know what? They still in June have 15 at-large delegate slots to be selected at the state level. They will pick those till June 23rd.
Very interesting. And I would like to go ahead, and I'm going to ask all of our patriots if they have other questions for you as well, but because this subject matter is, to me, of extreme importance to the listening audience, and the very mere fact that I believe that there are a lot of people that don't understand what a brokered convention is, and that we can possibly end up going to one as voters and as American voters. I'm hoping that they are interested enough to learn about this subject matter. Donna, would there be another question that you have for Barbara?
Not so much a question, I don't think, but what you're saying, Barbara, is that we need to get in gear, at least the ones where there are delegate openings. We need to get in gear and try to get in those slots.
That's right. And let me give you another good example that's not too far from a few of your listeners, perhaps. Virginia, where Newt wasn't even allowed on the ballot.
Right.
On the 16th of June, at their state convention, they're going to be picking 13 at-large delegates.
Oh, wow.
Get in there.
That's when now, on the 16th of June?
Yes, ma'am.
And what happens when they do that? You're saying that...
You're an at-large delegate. That means you represent the state as a whole when you go to Tampa.
Right.
Okay.
And you do what you got to do to get in there.
Exactly.
Okay.
And once you get picked, hook up with me. We'll start talking on email or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to start educating all the delegates everywhere. And if you don't get picked, if you don't get picked as a national delegate, I'm going to assign you education duty. You're going to be the teacher of those delegates. I'm going to give you some things that you can just mail them from time to time, like once every day or two. I'll have a new poster for you to mail to a delegate, and you're just going to keep it in their face. Keep it in their face. Keep it in their face.
Right.
Keep the history of the party. And what I've got here, there's nothing here that says Romney is a schmuck or anything like that. This is all the history of the party. You read the history of the party, and it'll be very clear that the presumptive nominee, when you've got a presumptive nominee who is not an incumbent president, you generally don't win the election.
Yay.
Okay, and I've got time after time in history. I could probably spend an hour just talking about the number of times non-incumbent presumptive nominees blew it, got to the convention, either didn't have the votes or gave a speech or did something between the time they were presumptive and the time the convention was held where they blew it.
Wow.
And they blew it big. All right, and or an old political nemesis rose up and said, "Oh no, you're not," you know, as and that's the way it goes. There's a lot of fear.
For those of us that need to know this, Lamu, do you have a question?
I do. I have one question. What determines a bound delegate as opposed to an unbound delegate?
Okay, so every state has a different way of determining their delegates and how those people are. And those plans are called 15B plans. And by the way, after this presidential season is over, I want to encourage everyone to get involved in their 15B plans. I got a list of about 4 states where, oh my goodness, if our party in Alaska operated that way, there'd be an open rebellion. I mean, I'm serious. The party wouldn't exist because you're not going to have some closed door executive committee determining all the delegates in your state, like Tennessee,
and Alabama.
28 delegates in Tennessee. That's more than what got elected at the district level. Get determined by an executive committee. What? That would never be taught in Alaska. You'd never pull it off. New York is the same way. So is Florida. You know, unless the Republicans in that state rise up and start having objections and start changing the way things operate in their state parties, we are going to continue to go through, quote, the establishment, unquote. The way to de-establish the establishment is to get involved in the party, rewrite the functions. Take a look at how other states pick their delegates. For example, I kind of like how Alaska does it, but I've also been kind of fond of how Illinois does it, and I liked how Pennsylvania does it. There are virtues to all those. In Pennsylvania, what happens is they split up the delegate pool. There's an at-large pool, and then there's a pool at the congressional district level. When you run as a delegate in Pennsylvania, it just has your name. Okay, Betty Jane, Sally Joe, Fred Smith, whatever. When you vote for that person, you have no idea who that person favors at the moment. And all of their delegates are unbound in Pennsylvania. All of them. Okay?
Okay.
In contrast, you have
Valerie,
a
do you have any that you would like to bring into the
wait a minute,
conversation?
Can I please finish answering this question? Because this is important. If you look at Missouri, those delegates are also unbound. But if you take a look at Illinois, when a person runs for a delegate, their candidate's name is right behind them. So, for example, if Sally Joe was running in Illinois, it would have maybe Santorum's name, or it would have Newt's name, or it would have Romney's name.
That's the way it was in Alabama.
Right.
During the primary.
That person's bound unless they had the word undeclared behind them. Now, in other states, they have preference polls, or PPP. Those are party-run primaries. And the delegates are allocated based on the percentage of the PPP. And in Alaska, for example, that's how the percentage was doled out. Of course, we don't have that many delegates anyway. So you have to really look at the state rules, the 15B plans. Okay, I'm sorry.
Right.